Hi, welcome to Community Views, Community Voices. I'm Suzanne St. John Crane, Executive Director of Create TV San Jose. And in studio with me today is Almaz Nagash, who is the Director of Step Up Silicon Valley, sponsored by Catholic Charities. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, this sounds like a really exciting program. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces in my travels over the last year, but kind of give us the overview of what Step Up Silicon Valley is, the goal of the program.
So Step Up Silicon Valley is sponsored by Catholic Charities. The goal is actually to cut poverty by 50% by 2020 in Santa Clara County. It's a bold, ambitious effort, but then there is no other way but to really start to think big.
Absolutely.
To cut poverty in our community. 22% of the population in Santa Clara County is considered poor.
Wow.
And that means that they're actually living on the poverty level income, and that, or the federal poverty level income, which is very difficult to sustain. A family of 4, a family of 3, a family of 2 with $22,000 or less. And that, I think, has to change if we really have to make a meaningful economic development in our community.
Yeah.
So Step Up Silicon Valley is a community coalition. There are about 90 organizations that have signed to the vision of Step Up.
Wonderful.
About 45 of them actually signed up a memorandum of understanding to participate in meetings, to be able to republish Step Up Silicon Valley related events, or share our logo, share resources.
Right.
To that end, for the first 3 years of Step Up Silicon Valley, the organization did a fantastic job, Catholic Charities. I always say thank Catholic Charity for getting us this wonderful initiative, because I think Catholic Charities by themselves, we serve about 38,000 people. Just last year we served 38,000 people.
Annually. Oh,
Annually.
My goodness. Wow.
I think the CEO of the organization, Greg, has a much bolder and bigger vision, in my opinion, and that might be what we need sometimes.
Absolutely.
He sees Step Up Silicon Valley as the external arm that will help other community members to join and to do something about poverty in our community.
And what's amazing, I think, about this area, too, is that you don't see it. You don't always see it. And, you know, I heard a figure a few months ago that San Francisco and Santa Clara County actually have the same number of homeless people. And it's a very different landscape here. So sometimes the problem is hidden. And, you know, I commend you and Catholic Charities for stepping up and actually saying, okay, here's the goal. It's big, but we're going to do it. So how do you execute that? What are sort of the objectives?
So collaboration in general is fantastic. It's great to think about, but it's also the most challenging thing you do. You know, come on over and let's work together. I think what Step Up, the second phase of Step Up, what we want to do is create intentional collaboration. Collaborate for the purpose of doing something. Some organizations have similar things that we do, but everyone has a different core services that they provide, that they're so good at it, no one should be able to do it, but leverage that what they have. So Step Up does not provide direct services. What we do is we facilitate for things to happen. And sometimes you need facilitation for things to really make change. So I'll give you specific examples. But first, let me tell you a little bit about how we are coordinated, how Step Up is really coordinated, and then give you a couple of examples of the projects we're working on. So Step Up Silicon Valley has 3 specific strategic directions. Awareness. So we actually have, you said earlier, it's very difficult to know whether we really have poverty in our community because people are not aware that there is such a poverty in existence in our community. I think poverty sometimes is hidden and it's invisible. We find it everywhere, but we just don't see it, and we don't really do anything about it. So we have something called poverty simulation for 2 hours. I think it's the most powerful tool that we have at Step Up. So for 2 hours, you become that person who's struggling to make ends meet, $1,600 per month.
Wow. Who can get involved in that, or who can experience
that? Well, I'll give you a very good example. So actually, you know, one of the things we're trying to do with Step Up Silicon Valley is not just necessarily working, each of us with nonprofit organization. We want to involve the educational institutions and definitely the corporations. So we were very lucky. On April 22nd, Cisco and American Leadership Forum with Step Up Silicon Valley, we hosted a poverty simulation at Cisco.
Wow.
We had CEO level individuals attending, and then also the homeless people, the people who go through this, who are our resource people for the simulation, attended. And it was, the response we've had was incredible. At the end, we gave them a feedback form to see what changed it for them. And just to give you an idea, from 1 to 5, we've asked them the scale in which they were able to learn about poverty in our community.
Right.
The majority were between 3 and 5, which means the highest.
Yeah.
So we do that. And the second one is the advocacy. If you want to change issues that matter to the poor, policies have also to be
Sure. You've
addressed.
got to get involved.
Exactly. And so we have advocacy committee. And the advocacy committee chooses, or they discuss about what's the top thing that we could do this year. I mean, we really have to do what we are able to do as a community together.
Sure.
So this year we're focusing on elder economic self-sufficiency index, because I think our older generation is also struggling to make ends meet. Sometimes we don't think about it. Maybe most of the time we don't think about it.
Sure.
We think retirement is enough, and I think they're getting out of the retirement funding that they had. We're also focusing on the anti-payday, on the payday lending, industry, and we're trying to create awareness of that existence of the issue, but also try to come up with alternative to payday lending.
So what's the call to action for folks who are watching today and may have really be concerned about poverty in Silicon Valley? How can they participate?
So there was a third one, and that I didn't want to forget.
Sure.
So the third initiative of Step Up Silicon Valley is the systems change incubation.
Right.
We look at specific programs that we can actually incubate, which is the economic development. Franklin McKinley Children's Initiative came out of the Step Up Silicon Valley, and now we're building on top of it the Franklin McKinley Women's Initiative, which is to help the mothers whose children are participating in the Franklin McKinley Children's Initiative program. They go to school. When they go to school, they don't have anything to do. So we're partnering with the Women's Initiative for Self-Employment and the Franklin McKinley School District, the Franklin McKinley Children's Initiative, and Step Up Silicon Valley to actually train 100 women in 1 year. And our first class just started on April 19, and we have about 20 women in that classroom. And they're graduating on June 30th. So we're doing something really substantive, but very important to the community to really address what's needed by working with them, not necessarily by telling them what to do.
Self-sufficiency is going to be critical. I mean, just getting people on their feet so that they can...
Is key. And really doing that, helping women is pretty much the key to really getting people out of poverty in so many ways.
So how can folks help out if they're watching and they have a real interest in this issue?
I really would like the community to be engaged. I mean, as I always say, it's very easy to write a check.
Yeah, right.
But change is not going to happen because you donate. I think change happens because you participate and your voice is heard. Yeah. So I think what we would like to see happen is the business community, the educational institutions, an interested group of people to just be a part of this great call to action, which is let's increase the viability of our people, invest in people. That's what Step Up is all about. Absolutely. How do we invest in our community, in our own people? So I would like the corporations, the foundations, the educational institutions, the nonprofit organization to really look at Step Up as a platform, not as the answer, but as a platform or as a conduit to make things happen. So I'm hoping that we will be able to get them to participate. They can also volunteer. They can be mentors. And they can invest in any way they can to help us make this big, huge goal
by 2020.
happen. Yeah, for 2020.
By 2020. Lots of opportunities for folks to get involved, and we've got information available for you up on the screen here in just a minute. Website for Step Up Silicon Valley, and check it out. See if there's a good fit for you to get involved and participate in eliminating poverty by 2020. Thanks for watching Community Views. I'm Suzanne St. John Crane. See you next time.